Hi guys, Matt Lemke here with Through Gamer Goggles, and today on Roleplay Ramblings, we're going to discuss my concerns with Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Okay, so before we go any farther, Roleplay Ramblings is my show about all things role-playing, so please, guys, this is an engaging show, or I want it to be an engaging show. The more you comment, the more you talk, the more questions you have for me to answer, the better this show is going to be every episode. It's going to grow off of your fire. So I realize that Pathfinder 2nd Edition isn't for everybody, and I realize that maybe by the time we're done with this, we'll all have had a chance to experience it enough that there's not going to be a lot of comments about this show. But in the future, please, just right now, I'm going to encourage you, go ahead and comment, even if it's just to say, hi, thank you for doing this, or you're an idiot. Be nice. You don't have to say I'm an idiot, but I got thick skin. Anyway, so I was going to script all this, but it's Gen Con departure day, and I really have to get this up, in my opinion, before I talk to Jason Bullman tomorrow. So that I can come back and rebuttal anything that I dislike or what I learned. I think that's part of the growth and maturity of a show like this. So, I think that this is kind of a special show for me because I've really been following Pathfinder 2e since the beginning, and I'm pretty stoked about most of the changes they're making. And I think they're going to be good for the game. I'm going to start on that positive note. Now, where it kind of starts to fall apart for me isn't so much that it's falling apart, it's just a concern. So, I have been role-playing since about 1986. Maybe a little bit earlier. 86. So 86. 83. Since 1980. Yeah, I started like in second grade. And my first experience was Caves of Chaos. No, actually, let me rephrase that. My first surviving experience was Caves of Chaos. The very first thing I did was my older brother put me through Temple of Elemental Evil. And even though I died 35 times before he said we're going to play something different, I loved it. And I've been hooked ever since. So, you can imagine that I have done a lot of different things. I've played Dungeons & Dragons, I've played Rifts, I've played Palladium Fantasy, I've played Dungeons & Dragons 2nd Edition, which is actually pretty much what really hooked me on D&D, was playing that with my friends in high school. And then college came around, and I played a lot of Rifts with my buddies in college. I don't know why they loved Rifts so much, but that was our game of choice. And I did a lot at that point in time. From the time I started playing 2nd Edition on, I have done a lot of storytelling for role-playing games. Dungeon World, you name it. I've probably played it. The only things I haven't really played yet are Savage Worlds and Fate System, I think. There's probably a couple others that are, of the bigger systems. I played a lot of small systems. But I owned a store for a while, and they came out with 3.5 while I owned the store, and it was a very good thing. And then my store closed, and shortly after that they came out with 4th edition. And I felt, 4th edition, first and foremost, I want to make this very clear. There's nothing wrong with the rules, per se. But for me, I did not like it, and I feel it wasn't well received because it wasn't Dungeons & Dragons. It was a new role-playing system that moved too far away from what 1st edition, 2nd edition, and 3.5 had developed. So I played a lot more Pathfinder. Whenever I had the chance, I would play Pathfinder. Or use Pathfinder as storytelling now. With that said, I still have a group that plays 3.5. And we have an Eberron campaign now that's been going on since about 2005. Same storyline, but different characters. And so we really like that kind of meaty crunchiness, right? I think what Pathfinder's doing is a very structured stance or step away from what Pathfinder is to a maturity level of what Pathfinder should move towards, or what RPGs move towards when they have kind of reached their place. Pathfinder is, in my opinion, a game that is pretty much rules-wise maxed out. I mean, there's a lot of little things you can do, but I mean, there's nothing fundamentally with first edition that you can really change or fix or adjust without affecting a lot of different things. So at this point in time, a second edition is a very good move, in my opinion, for Pathfinder. My concern is are the steps and changes that they're making going to be too big of a leap for most players? And players are like, well, there's nothing wrong with Pathfinder. And there's nothing wrong with first edition. Pathfinder second edition, in my opinion, is going to be a lot simpler to play. And anytime you have a simpler game to play, you move faster, and it's more enjoyable for all players. Without losing the complexity of role-playing and telling the story. So that is my first concern. My first concern is the fact that they might be making too big of a step, but from everything they've shared on the Pathfinder Playtest blog for Pathfinder 2nd Edition, kind of says they're not going to destroy it. But it's also their job to share the good things that are highlights and make you thirsty for more. So this is going to be a huge week for Paizo at Gen Con, and I suspect that people are going to go ape over getting their playtest copies. I know I am. I'm already planning on making a character creation walkthrough as soon as I'm done with all my video footage for Gen Con, and it's going to be, most likely, I think it's going to be a Goblin Alchemist, which, that's kind of stereotypical, but I've never made a Goblin, and I've always wanted to make an Alchemist, so I think it's a good match, and it'll be a good flavor thing that shows creating a character that is kind of iconic to Pathfinder. So that's that. And I want to lean towards the fact that they're not going to do that, but only time is going to tell. I think Pathfinder 2 is going to be received well enough that, irregardless if it's a total sellout like Starfinder was last year, or if it's more slowly received because of the foundation of Pathfinder, I think it's going to succeed. My concern is how big of a boom is it going to be. My second concern, and this is really just more of a personal pet peeve, really, is their character creation. I have never liked point-buy systems at all in my life. I can't stand them. I'm a wargamer. Let me throw my dice. I want to roll my dice. So, I did watch the character creation video hour the other day of Jason Bullman on their Paizo Friday, and it kind of put me to rest a little bit, because it's not a true point buy. You make selections, and those selections affect how you build your character. I'm curious to see how many different character combinations you can create with that system, and whether or not it's really easy just to break certain stats. Now, on one side, it does, their character creation looks like it's going to do two things. On the one side, it's definitely going to make people or player characters much more heroic with their stats and their abilities and their scores. Because you start at a base of 10, and then you get pluses or minuses based off of your choices. So it's a lot harder to get a character that has, let's say, a 3 intelligence or a 3 dexterity because you rolled crappy. It does fix that. And in some ways that levels the playing field and makes everybody kind of on the same playing field. But sometimes those characters with those low ability scores are very challenging to play. In our 3-5 game, I have a character who does not have the greatest strength in the world. And and it's above average. It's just that with his gear that he carries, he's got a strength of like 13 or 14, and after he put on armor and stuff, he can only carry like 30 pounds. So he has a bag of holding that weighs, or no, it's 5. I don't remember what he can carry before he's encumbered. He has 5 pounds left. It's a challenge because he's a thief, and he wants to pick things up. The GM's like, and yeah, he's got a bag of holding, but it makes it interesting because if he picks something up and carries it on the run, he's encumbered until he can get it into his bag of holding. And getting things out of the bag of holding is not always easy, at least not with my GM, smart GM. So that's kind of a concern of mine, and that's really more of a personal thing because, man, I really like to throw my dice. But I understand why it's there. And the other part of that flip side is it, like I said, it levels the playing field. So everybody's going to be pretty much, they're going to have the same chance to have good scores. Character creation has changed. And one of the things they did do is they changed the character sheet from this to this, and it reads a lot better. I like it a lot. I do like that. Which I guess that... Hi, guys. Meet the Nibbles, who's gonna go down. She just decided not to go down my back, so we'll do this for her so she's comfy. Thanks for watching my video, and I appreciate it. Please hit the like button and share it if you know somebody who might be interested. And of course, there's always Twitter and the Facebook thingy, and soon I have a newsletter coming. That'll be down there or in a link below, and my kitty cat loves that idea. So anyway, there was one more thing. Oh yeah, subscribe. Be a part of my community, our community. Let's make it grow together. See you guys at a con somewhere, or a local store, or if I'm driving through the country, maybe a game club. I don't know. You're not gonna go knock down my camera. Bye, guys.